Welcome to the Breaking Orbit podcast. I'm your host, Frederick Douglass Bussey, back with you for episode 24. And today we'll be talking about your gift is your leadership. What does that really mean? We'll get into it. Breaking Orbit podcast starts right now. Over the years, as the whole industry of leadership coaching has developed and supporting entrepreneurs has become a conversation around what it means to be a great leader. And so one of the things that you have is a challenge of a corporate version versus working as an entrepreneur in your own business and building your own thing and building your own culture of leadership. And even though we're not going to get so political today, I want to talk about what leadership means in a traditional sense and what happens when we don't have a true understanding of what that means, because it has widespread ramifications. If you're building a business that is out to create greater impact, if there is a certain level of impact and influence that you want to be able to create through the things that you're building, your services, your products, whatever the case may be, then you have a bigger game that you're playing. And so all the stakes are higher. And I want to talk a little bit about what that means from an individual standpoint as a leader and how we can explore and expand that and more so redefine what it means to be a leader. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, Facebook, or YouTube, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. Let me know where you're watching this from. Become a part of the conversation. We have the luxury of doing that now as we're recording this live. Let me know what you're thinking and what you're experiencing as well. And I want to talk about what this whole conversation about leadership really, really means, right? In my book, I talk about, there's a chapter called Breaking Leadership. And what we're doing when we talk about breaking leadership is that we are telling people that what we've always thought traditional leadership meant is not the same thing, right? And there's a reason for that. One of the reasons for that is because leadership has become a thing where people are anointed, right? So you can be told that you can earn the right to become a leader. And to some degree that's true. But when we look at our unique capacity to impact the world in a singular and powerful way, in other words, when we look at our gifts, we realize that our gifts are given to us for a purpose. And when we take John Maxwell's definition of leadership, which is that leadership is influence. In other words, leadership is the ability to impact an environment in a particular way. It is the ability to leave your imprint. It is the ability to help people get what they want. It is the ability to influence and motivate people and inspire them and to drive them forward. There can be no greater example of that than our individual gifts. In the book, I talk about the 3 types of gifts and how they show up. So there are transformers, transistors, and translators, right? And each of these is an aspect of how you, in physics, you will work with energy to be able to create a new paradigm. Meaning that once you have interacted with other individuals, once you have interacted in an organization, once you have interacted in an environment, the environment is changed because of you, because of what you have done. And so we're all doing that. Energetically, we're changing the environment that we live in. But if you look sometimes at the things that we want to accomplish, whether we're getting enough momentum in our businesses, whether we are getting the relationship results that we want, whether we are raising children that we're proud to say they are also leaving an impact in the world, that they are leaving it better than they found it. If we're doing those things, then we are using our gifts in the right way. That will be one way of looking at it. And what we see nowadays is we see that people are impacting their environment in many negative ways. And the fact of the matter is, people have a very negative view of leadership. So that even if you start a company and you're the boss and the buck stops with you and you're writing the checks and signing the checks and you are making the decisions and you have a team and you built a community or you have employees where you're building a culture and you're moving in a direction, whatever that direction is, making more money, having more impact, or whatever that looks like. If you're doing those things, you are embarking on a journey that requires you to become a bigger, more powerful, more self-aware version of who you are. You no longer have the right to just move through the world and just see things in your own way, because you have to be aware of the wake that you're leaving behind you. Oftentimes we don't do this as entrepreneurs because we're so caught up in what we're doing. Oftentimes we don't do this in leaders and organizations because we have so much responsibility. But the greater awareness you have of the actual responsibility that you are bestowed upon or bestowed with, then the greater you're going to have an understanding of what is required of you. Oftentimes when we are dealing with our employees, we look at them and we say, well, I've given you a job to do, right? And when they don't do that job or live up to the expectations that we have, we get frustrated with them. Oftentimes when we look at our leaders out in the world, we have a certain level of responsibility. We expect them to have a certain level of integrity. We expect them to carry themselves in a certain way. And when they fail to live up to that, we are disappointed in them. We're angry, upset, because leadership in position carries with it a certain dynamic, a certain expectation. You've been given this. What I want to pose to you today is that what we have as individuals is a unique and powerful gift that's been bestowed upon us from the time that we were born. Before we were born, it's in our DNA, in our design. We are meant to show up in a powerful way. And when we do not do that, when we fail to do that, what we actually do is we abdicate that throne. So it's very much similar to when you have a child that is born into a royal family and they're born in a royal lineage and they are the heir to the throne. There is of their very own identity. The fact that the blood runs through their veins, they have the responsibility to live up to this royal tradition. They are a king or a queen. In America, we do not have royalty like that. We have people who are wealthy, but having royalty is a foreign concept. And so the very idea that the society of merit, where you earn your right to be in your place, is one that we really ascribe to. We subscribe to this idea that the only ones who belong in a certain position of leadership are the ones who deserve it. And if you're not a leader, you don't deserve it. But what we get to understand is that when we discover our gift, our own superpower, we discover our own birthright, our own inheritance to this role of leadership. And I want to make that distinction between a position and a role. A position is one that you fill, but a role is one that you fulfill. So if you are a father, you have the position of being the parent to a child. But if you do not fulfill the role of being a father, you are a father in name only, and not having lived up to your responsibility and carried with you the weight and the burden and the joy of living up to that thing. Your gift is very, very much the same thing. If you are running a business, you have to be aware of the environment of the world right now, where people do not necessarily trust their boss just because you are their boss. Just because you are an elected official, just because you run an organization. People respect the position, but they have to learn to respect you. And for any leader to really fulfill their potential as a leader and to be able to step into that is to understand that above and beyond the position, there is a responsibility to understand what your gift is and how you can empower people. How do I show up in the most powerful way? Not imitating someone else, but stepping into and fulfilling my own unique true leadership. So for me, for a long time, I played the background in supporting other people, and I still do. But that support is played in a particular role in a particular way because that is my gift. That is how I show up, helping people to get clarity on their own position, on what they want to do, on what they want to create in life. But for a long time, I didn't believe that I had anything special about me. I just didn't. I felt like I wasn't a lead singer. I wasn't a superstar. I wasn't a celebrity. Therefore, my leadership didn't really exist. I was not a leader. I was a follower. I was a supporter. I wouldn't say I felt I was a follower. I felt like I had ideas. I knew that I had a certain level of my own genius. My own spirit attended upon me at birth. That's the definition of genius. So it wasn't that I was a genius or not a genius. It's just that I saw other people that I thought were great, and I saw how I could support them in achieving their greatness. And what that meant for me was simply supporting them in the background and not stepping out of my own power and asserting my own leadership by using my gift, by using my voice. And one thing I did was I started building that authority and that leadership by simply saying or using the gift that I was given, the ability to translate meaning. And whether you're a transformer, a transistor, or a translator, you have a responsibility to fulfill your role of leadership. And the level of leadership that you are able to effectively create is going to be entirely dependent on your ability to discover, to own, and to master your gift. The position will not enhance your ability to do this above and beyond your own ability to understand who you are and how you can be a supernova and not just a light bulb. And it may feel like that's overwhelming for a lot of people. There are many of us who, although we have achieved many great things, although we are high performers in many instances, inside there's this gnawing at the back of our brains, this voice that keeps telling us that we're not good enough, that we are an imposter, that we're faking it. And what you discover when you discover your gift and when you begin to walk in alignment with your gift and to use it to empower others as leadership requires, what you get to discover is that there is nothing that can separate you from that. There is no authenticity that needs to be validated outside of that. Going deep into your own abilities, going deep into the schematics of your design. Who are you as a person? How are you designed? What is the impact that you are best and uniquely qualified to create? How do you do that wherever you go? So many of us discount that because we feel as though we overlook who we really are. And when we don't understand what leadership really is, when we don't understand what is really required of us, when we don't really understand what is possible for us and through us as leaders, then we risk it all. We put our destiny at risk. because we're living so far beneath what we are capable of. Even if you have achieved things that you never thought would be possible, or anyone around you ever thought would be possible, if you're not walking in your gift, you're not fulfilling the ultimate version of yourself as a leader, and you are still living far beneath who you're capable of being. Period. Point blank. Sometimes when I'm talking, I don't know if it resonates for you the way that it resonates for me. When I was writing this book, some days my hair would be on fire because as I was starting to comprehend what it really meant to be gifted, what it really means to be a leader, what's really possible for us when we step into this version of ourselves, I began to understand that in many ways we've been lied to. In many ways, we've been shortchanged. So much of the trauma, so much of the heartache, so many of the addictions, so many of the insecurities and fears that we have all rest within our misunderstanding of who and what we really are. And once you discover, own, and master your gift, and you begin to employ that on behalf of the people that you serve, the people on your team, the people in your organization, the people that you serve as customers or clients. When you begin to do that, you begin to help other people realize a greater version of themselves. And that is the truest imprint, the truest, most truest form of influence that our gift is designed to create. A world where everyone lives in their gift is a world where everyone is connected to the true source of their power, their creator, and they understand and realize who they are as a creator to recreate a reality, a world that is glorious, that is full of love, and that energizes us on a continual, evolving, ever emerging basis. This may feel woo-woo to some people, but if you ever been tired and felt sleepy, you know what it feels like to lack the energy to move forward. And if you've ever woke up feeling refreshed and recharged and regenerated, that's not a woo-woo thing. The energy that we have must be managed, must be articulated and expressed, must be preserved. And the design of how you express and regenerate the energy through ourselves as a conductor, whatever kind of a conductor you are in this world, is necessary. The world needs you to be the leader you were created to be. And either you will choose to be that leader, or you will be less than everything that you could ever have imagined. And who wants to live in a world where less than is the norm? This has been another edition of the Breaking Orbit podcast. Please like, subscribe, share this episode with someone that you know, that you care about. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, drop a comment below. Let me know. If you're watching this on a replay, drop a hashtag replay. Let me know what you're discovering from this conversation. What does this mean to you? And ask yourself, where can I show up more powerfully as a leader? Where can I use my gift as a leader to dominate this world for good? To dominate in the most glorious way. step into your gift. Breaking Order Podcast. I'm your host, Frederick Douglass Bussey, as always. Ever forward.